It's 8 p.m. Russia invades Ukraine.
They actually attacking in our neighborhood and they're making us feel insecure and very unsafe.
And America responds.
We stand up for freedom. The United States will defend every inch of NATO territory with the full force of American power.
President Biden orders thousands of U.S. troops to defend NATO allies and issues new sanctions against Russia.
Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences.
Thousands of miles away, Coloradans show their support.
Didn't know there were this many Ukrainians here.
Solidarity.
I really want to support the Ukrainian people from Georgia.
And frustration.
I'm originally from Russia. I strongly condemn the war.
We take a 360 in-depth look at the invasion in Ukraine and what effects we'll see here at home.
Remain strong. We will win because we fight for freedom.
You're taking live looks at the capital city of Ukraine tonight as Vladimir Putin continues to advance military operations into Ukraine. Explosions have been reported near the capital city of Kyiv. Thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter.
And I'm Danny New. As many of you know, after months of military buildup, Russia has indeed invaded Ukraine, which was once part of the Soviet Union. For the past 24 hours, missiles rained down on locations near the capital, Kyiv. Russian forces targeted military infrastructure, including airports across Ukraine, and seized the Chernobyl nuclear power plant.
All of this while stunned Ukrainian families taking cover, some in subways turned bomb shelters, while refugees flee for nearby border countries. Tonight, the death toll climbing one day into Putin's assault, with more than 137 killed, 316 wounded.
President Joe Biden unleashed several more crushing and unprecedented sanctions against Russia, saying they're designed to, quote, maximize long-term impact on Russia and minimize the impact on the U.S. and its allies, end quote. The new sanctions will block 4 major Russian banks from the U.S. financial system, freezing their assets.
Throughout the hour, we're going in depth on what's happening across the globe, reactions here in Colorado from protesters and lawmakers, as well as how this invasion can impact you at home.
But first, Denver 7's Ivan Rodriguez spoke with Ukrainians here in Colorado unable to reach their loved ones.
Good afternoon.
On days like today,
The Russian military has begun a brutal assault on the people of Ukraine.
words don't seem to fully describe emotions.
For me, that's unbelievable.
From a room inside her Arvada pharmacy,
For weeks, we have been warning that this would happen.
Julia Ugnovsky and Mitro Sukolsky watched history unfold.
Missile strikes began to fall on historic cities across Ukraine. Putin declared his war.
Nobody was prepared for that. Nobody. And I still do not believe that happened.
Both of them have family in Ukraine. The last time they spoke, moments after the invasion began.
That's my family, so I'm afraid for them. I did not sleep the whole night because I was talking with my whole family from my side and from my wife's side.
But since then, communication has been non-existent.
Not since last night.
All connections are down.
Correct. I don't know how they will survive.
Creating a sense of helplessness and uncertainty like they've never felt before.
They claim it all the time that they are our brothers, but look how brothers doing. They will occupy the capital of Ukraine and they will put their flag instead of Ukrainian flag and they will establish their government. That's a prediction. That's what the freaking Putin wants to do.
With no sign of where their families are taking shelter and when they'll hear their voices again, all they can do is hope.
We just try to support you as we can and we pray for you.
Remain strong. We will win. Because we fight for freedom.
A freedom those here and in Ukraine will not give up without a fight.
God bless the people of a free and democratic Ukraine.
Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
Thank you, Ivan. And today, more than 100 people gathered on the state capitol steps to support Ukrainians still in the country and here in Colorado. One woman said her parents are sheltering in a basement, and she wanted to come out and fight in some way for her nation.
This is something that we can all control and something that we can gather to come together and show that we are strong and that we are Ukrainian and we are not going anywhere, even all the way over here.
The showing on the steps of the state capitol also drew the attention of Governor Polis. He came out, thanked people for coming, and told supporters that Colorado stands in solidarity with the people of Ukraine.
Governor Polis also announced punitive actions against Russia. He directed his office to terminate any state contract with a Russian state-owned company. He's also asking the state's Information Technology Office to focus resources on protecting the state from a possible Russian cyber attack. The governor says Colorado is ready to welcome refugees from Ukraine, and the state is prepared to provide Ukraine with any possible support.
Throughout the week, we have been checking in with Christoph Stiefes. He is a professor of political science at CU Denver and an expert on Russian and European politics. He told us that the sanctions could prove effective down the road in destabilizing Putin's reign, but for now, there's not much anyone can do to prevent Ukraine's fall.
Obviously, NATO cannot go into Ukraine. That would start World War III. That's out of the question. We cannot even supply weapons anymore at this point, because how would we get them in? How would we get the Ukrainians trained? This is all way too late. 2014, that was a moment the West should have decided to build up the Ukrainian forces, train them, make them a credible adversary, and it didn't happen.
Stiefes told us President Biden had not been in office long enough to prevent Putin's actions, but said that the White House does deserve credit for effectively mobilizing Europe against Russia.
The invasion has shaken world markets. In a volatile day of trading, the Dow dropped steeply early in trading, but finished with gains after President Biden announced additional sanctions. The S&P and NASDAQ also clawed back from early losses to end the day in positive territory. Experts say the invasion and conflict in Ukraine will certainly impact the price you pay at the pump. Gas prices have increased by nearly 90 cents a gallon in the United States within the last year, and they are expected to climb following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which has created uncertainty in the global market. The issue is even more apparent when considering that Russia is an oil and gas powerhouse, according to the CEO of Colorado Oil and Gas Association, Dan Haley points out.
It's the instability of where are you going to get that product from. For example, Russia produces about 10% of the oil that the world uses, and they produce about 30% of the natural gas that Europe uses. So when you begin to see instability over there, it creates problems throughout the marketplace. Those prices then rise, and we end up having to pay more at the pump and more to heat our homes.
If there's any good news here, Colorado isn't expecting to have a huge spike in gas prices like some other parts of the nation because the state is one of the top producers of oil.
Of course, we are closely monitoring what's happening in Ukraine at Denver 7, and we'll bring you the latest on air as well as denverchannel.com. You can always go there, as well as getting to-date information on our free Denver 7 Plus app. And today, Denver police announced that the result of their largest operation to improve downtown safety.
Yeah, officers arrested a total of 42 people. Some had outstanding warrants and others engaging in illegal activities. Denver 7 CB Cotton joins us now. CB, you spoke with a young man, a former user, who told you Union Station was just one place where he would purchase illicit drugs?
Danny and Jessica, that's right. This young man told us that he could find drugs here at Union Station whenever he wanted them. But the good news, he's been sober now for a little over a year, but he can remember coming to this very location to purchase fentanyl, and he says it was really easy. So of course, we all know Denver police have been under the microscope because community members have called for change here at Union Station. But today we heard from another perspective. This young man, he asked us to conceal his identity, but he said people can purchase fentanyl at Union Station for as cheap as $10. He says he understands people want things to be cleaned up around the iconic area, but he feels people who are battling addiction really need more emotional support. He says that support and a few times cheating death are really what helped him turn his life around.
I really think we need more social programs, more welfare programs, more methadone clinics, more stuff like that is what we really need. I had a lot of close calls the last year of my use, you know. Yeah, the methadone clinic's been a godsend. I think that's the most important thing, is more social outreach, more community programs, you know. That's been huge for me.
And coming up on Denver 7 News at 10, we'll take a closer look at the realities of the drug crisis here in the Denver metro. We'll also share more of this young man's story. For Denver 7 News on Local 3, I'm CB Cotton.
Coming up at 8, a hit-and-run driver slams into a snowplow, and police search for a car in a road rage shooting.
Plus, blood shortages have hospitals feeling the pinch.
I can't imagine if they said, well, you're at 7.2, but hey, we don't have any blood. I cannot imagine for all those patients. I cannot imagine.
The beginning of the end of the deep freeze. I'll let you know when temperatures hit 60 degrees.
We're continuing coverage on the latest in Ukraine. We'll hear from experts throughout the show and get their analysis. Stay with us.